Very intelligent guy. Very used to, he's not some big joker when you see his photos, it looks much plans.
I'd like to call to order the August 22nd, 2023 Columbia Borough Council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Council President Zink.
Here.
Councilperson Kaufman.
Here.
Councilperson Stahl.
Here.
Councilperson Fisher. Here. Councilperson Price.
Here.
Councilperson Littner.
Here.
Councilperson Burgard.
Here.
Mayor Lo.
Here.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to offer an invocation? If not, if you would like to, please rise for a moment of silence. Eric, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcement of executive and information sessions, there were none. Are there any additions, deletions, or reorganization of the agenda needed? I'm not aware of any. All right, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as published?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Price, to approve the agenda as published. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Alright. Next, citizen comment. I don't have a sheet. Frank, did you sign up?
Yes.
All right,
The only one, I think. Yes.
go ahead.
Frank Aldrich, 1001 Airfield Pike. I brought up at the last meeting, I asked a question about Cherry Street. I asked the safety department if they found a statement. I was given nothing. I actually would have been shocked if I would have heard a statement, but I didn't. That seemed to be the trend. So I'd like to go back to the 90s when I was on council. We had a correspondent lady from Lancaster, Maureen Landis. I don't know if anybody remembers her. Probably somebody remembers her. But what happened, over in the CA parking lot, there was an elderly gentleman found dead. And she got wind of this, and she called Joy Greener, who was the chief at the time, called Joy and said, you need to make a statement so it gives the people some kind of an answer that they're not making accusations about things. You put a statement in the paper, everything is taken care of. That's how they did business back then. Maureen was lucky to find us, that what happened then. But that eliminated everybody's thinking of drugs and everything else. I believe the gentleman had a heart attack. I think that's what they determined. But eliminated all that stuff. They made a statement, and that's the way it should have been. My understanding is the vehicles are soon coming up at an auction over Europe. Well, the calls that I made says that we, the public, can't bid on them. So they give me places, I don't have, I can't think of the name of the areas that they do have that they can do that. For the life of me, we're signed up for the municipal bid. Why, I know why, don't we put them on the municipal bid?
Because we have a contract with the Enterprise for Fleet Management.
Not for these, we don't. These wasn't part of that contract.
All of our vehicles were included in the fleet management. They were identified, even the old ones, we said we would turn those over for them for auction at the time because they could get us and then it would roll into the cost of our parking.
Don't give the public here a chance to bid on them, but we, the public, can bid on them, not up at this your office. So how does that help us? And I'm not the only one who wants to bid. discussion?
I don't know, I mean, I don't know. if There's
You want to have an
any,
answer?
yeah, Evan,
We have
It's
raised,
easy to put one in the municipal bid.
No,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah, because the contract, Frank, that you signed with Enterprise Fleet Management, we agreed in that contract to use the currently owned titled vehicles as part of the cost savings on the new leases. So when we sell, for example, we sold one of the public works trucks that was maybe 10, 15 years old. All that money we got for that truck went against the lease for the new vehicle that replaces that one. So then our lease payments are cut down, so we're actually saving money and taking the equity of that vehicle and putting it into a new one. We're putting it into a new one via the lease program now instead of buying them outright.
The story that I got before was, we get a good price for them, which all vehicles right now, you're going to get a good price for used vehicles. If you look at these, the dump trucks like brand new, outside of some rust in the bed, you know, when you get a good price. But why would you put them on a municipal bid? Why would you do that? Somebody is making a lot of money here somewhere. I ain't figured it out yet, but somebody's
The
making a lot of money.
borough does really well, and it cuts down on the lease payments. We're selling them for a great price. And all that money goes against the cost of the new vehicle, the lease price. So the residents of this community are the ones making money. They're saving money on this program.
and Frank,
I find that, go ahead.
the borough would be in breach of its contract with Enterprise if we were to sell the vehicles on municipal. We have an agreement with Enterprise
Yeah,
that they, you know, take those vehicles to auction and sell them there. That's part of the agreement. Now, we have looked at, and Mark, I don't know if you've heard back from them yet, but we have talked to Enterprise about the auctions where they are going. To see what, I don't know how they normally handle that. Have you gotten?
Yeah, they're all dealer auctions that they take them to.
Mhm.
So that's where the vehicles are going, per our contract with them.
And where are they going?
To like, Manheim Auto Auction. That's one of the ones they use.
My understanding, we're going to Harrisburg.
Yeah, that's one of the ones they use. There's 2 or 3 that they use.
That's one of the ones that you've got to be a dealer to buy.
Right.
So we, the taxpayer is screwed.
No, the taxpayers are getting benefits because the value of that vehicle is going against the new lease, so we're saving money.
right,
I had to really look at that. I'm dumb. Listening to that, I can't figure that out right now. I had to sit down with somebody to do that. Somebody's making money.
Okay,
I can't see
I'll-
it being the borough.
When we first did this, and Chief and I just had this conversation, it took us a while to get our head around how this whole program works. But I can tell you, it's a good program. It's why so many municipalities are going this way now and utilizing Enterprise or similar fleet management companies to lease out vehicles. Because in the long run, you save a lot of money. This is all about getting the best value for this community.
It doesn't make, I know you're saying that, but it doesn't make sense to me. If you put them on a municipal bid, everybody all over has a chance to bid on that. Or up there, it's just the auction people that get a chance to bid on it. Could have their friends, I'm not saying this happens. I went there with dealers years ago. I used to go there all the time. Get a free breakfast if you get there early. It wasn't decent. I went there, but believe me, there's something wrong here somewhere.
Give the example of the highway department pickup truck recently. How much money you were able to get on that?
Yeah, that was the truck Mark was talking about, that was like 10 years old, and we got like $5,000 less than what we paid for it.
Yeah.
yeah,
So we had the truck for 10 years, Frank, and we sold it, I'll approximate numbers, we sold it for 20,000. We bought it for 25,000 10 years ago. That's a pretty good return.
That 20,000 goes back against the lease for the new truck that replaced that.
But you're not telling me what we could have got on a municipal bid.
We don't, you use it a bit because we have, only because of the agreement, Frank. It's the agreement with Enterprise
And-
now.
It's still a public auction.
Municipal bid is, there is no guarantee that we would get more or less on there anyway.
I understand that, but you don't know what you would have done.
No,
And then the public could bid on that.
and if they sold all municipal bid, I had no idea what I would have gotten from a dealer.
Right,
You know, it's kind of one of those arguments, a circular argument. I am confident that this deal with Enterprise is a good deal for this community, and we're saving significant money.
I mean, if it wouldn't be a good deal, there wouldn't be the number of other municipalities doing it that are.
And more are joining up because of that.
Exactly.
I somehow don't agree with you, but I don't understand it, so until I understand it, I just feel there's something wrong somewhere. But it screws us, because we don't get a chance to bid on it. Me and the guy at the end are even both gonna bid on different vehicles, now we don't get a chance to do that. So screw you taxpayers, that's the way I look at it anyway. That's
I know, but I'll say again, Frank, this is to benefit the taxpayers. Because we were spending a lot of money on fuel, maintenance, the cost. Now, when we're replacing the vehicles every so many years, our maintenance costs have dropped down significantly. Secondly, when we lease a vehicle, we lease it at the state vehicle rate. We sell it retail. So we are already making money on the difference between the state contract purchase and the retail resale. So that's a huge benefit for us.
Well, I can't argue with you because I didn't get into it, I know. All I know was I want to go there and bid, and I can't do it, and it's cheating me off.
Right. Next topic.
What's that?
Next topic.
I'm just looking here now. I wanted to comment back when you did the budget, when the young lady was here, and she went over the budget. The audit. The audit from last year, that was very poor. I sit here, I couldn't believe that she did what she did. But then I couldn't believe that council sat there and they had no questions. Surely, you've got to have questions on a budget like that from last year. And an audit of me, and but the lady did a very poor job. That's all. I don't know what you paid for that presentation, but I wanted to comment on that a couple meetings back. I just hated that. All right, I have something else for another item, for another issue. Thank you.
Minutes for approval. Could I have a motion to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for August 3rd, 2023? A motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to approve the Borough Council meeting minutes for August 3rd, 2023. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Presentation and acceptance of reports. I first would like to acknowledge the finance reports from July 2023. You will also notice there is the ACH report from June and July. It was inadvertently missed the month before. Are there any questions, comments, concerns on the finance reports? No. Legislation.
Heather, you have a question?
Oh, yes,
Finance.
yes.
In looking through the packet, I was looking at the detailed expenditure analysis, and two things stuck out at me. Chief of Police salary, overspent 131%. You budgeted $108,000 for the
Would you
police.
like the explanation? Would you like the explanation?
I mean,
Because I know what you're asking and I know the answer.
yeah, okay, but let me just say, you budgeted $108,000, and it's already overspent by it says $140,000, and this is only August.
Yes.
Now,
In the contract, managers are allowed to cash out unused vacation time, and that's what Jack did. So that was reflected, the amount that he cashed out is reflected in that line item.
so it's contracted like that.
Yes,
All
Yes.
All employees?
all managers, yes.
Well,
Uh,
and union employees.
And union employees, yes.
Okay. And one other one. It's 1-402-317, contracted services, 175%. We budgeted 15,000, and it's already spent 26,000. Why?
I have to pull up the history report on that and see how all would hit that.
Yeah, I'd have to look at that.
Okay, I'd like to back on it.
Yeah, Ken?
Okay.
Legislation.
Okay, this is a sheet here that's new to me, I think, that lists everything. I just asked if we could add the handicap parking to that. And I would assume that status is in process. Right?
Absolutely, yes. I should have that to you before your next voting meeting. So you can take a look at it.
That's fine.
And Sharon, there was one other one that, I remembered this evening that we had to add, and that is for, an ordinance concerning a property being on, having a 0 lot line,
Yeah.
and there being an automatic easement with the neighboring properties so they can, maintain the outside of their property that's on the lot line.
Okay, so that's going to be added
Yeah.
to an ordinance or?
It's,
It's gonna be
Yeah.
an ordinance.
Yeah, that'll be one. Yeah.
this is one of the new reports that I requested that we get so that everyone can, see what we have in process and we can, so we all know if something comes up, we all know where it needs to be in the pecking order and can, talk about what needs to take a back seat so that that happens and so forth. Any other questions, comments, or concerns on that one?
But, and just note on this report, we'll also be tracking the privately initiated, if there's a text amendment such as the last one you see there on amendment to off-premise signs. Those will be tracked as well, both the ones will be initiated and the privately initiated ones.
Presentations, there are none. Mayor, let's Chief Romer.
Yeah, first off, I think you all are aware that our emergency management coordinator, Dave Barninger, had recently had his replaced, has come upon some complications, he's back in the hospital, and, so I'm asking you to remember him in prayers. He was doing so well, and something happened, so he's been in contact with Joanne and I, and the chief, so we'll keep everybody appraised over it. The only other thing I have is, you have the new issue of bird news. And Heather, I know you're up to snuff with what's going on with the Pennsylvania Bird Association, but there are a couple of things in there that we need to keep an eye on. The House passed a bill to help, fight blight. There may be some funding in there for us on that. There was the Senate bill to amend the fireworks ordinance. I didn't see a lot of meat in there, so I don't know exactly what all is coming out of that. I don't know if you have anything on that.
I have not seen anything on that. I'll take a look at that.
And there was some legislation passed by the House on land bank, which really don't affect us because what they're doing essentially is allowing municipalities of less than 10,000 to create land banks. The important one is a bill to address teacher, police, and nurse shortages. And what they're basically saying is there would create a tax credit of $2,500 per year for 3 years for Pennsylvania residents who become police officers. So this is something with what we have going, putting new officers on. We should get behind and keep an eye on that.
Yes.
So keep an eye on that legislation. Chief, I don't know if you want to talk about the first day of school today or anything else.
I can. I wanted to promote our bike auction, but I guess I'll wait until 12C to discuss that. The first day of school went very well. We saw some new patterns, some changes at the high school as far as dismissal time. The same for Park School as well. So our staff was out in full force. We had no issues at all at drop off or pickup time.
And officers have been at the school.
Correct.
All right. Have they obtained a
No.
That's all right, no.
Yes, Cory.
Action items 11A. Do I have a motion to authorize staff to enter into an agreement of sale for the purchase of .31 acres of land to be dedicated to the borough to be used as an access drive for the Ridge Avenue properties? I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to authorize staff to enter an agreement of sale for the purchase of about .31 acres of land for the borough to use as an access drive for Ridge Avenue properties.
So staff has been in active discussions with Mr. Tim Funk, who owns the apartment complex property right there. And he is willing to work with us to grant us access through his property. We have also been trying to improve the situation out there, I'll say it that way, because the road that we'll be purchasing, which would be a fee simple purchase of that strip of land, will separate his property into two pieces and gives him a 1.2 acre piece that runs along Shawnee Run. That really becomes less desirable land for him to own. The family that owns the house, the property next to that, the one where the access drive, the old access drive back to the rear of the property goes through, he is interested in acquiring that land. So we're trying to improve that whole situation there so that he can, Mr. Barge can buy the land along the stream corridor, and west of our access drive, we'll buy the access drive piece. And that cleans up that whole mess. You don't have these odd pieces just sticking out over there. So we've been in contact with both of them. They're all interested in coming to the table and discussing this. So that's where we stand right now.
Yeah, Mark, this is gonna be a win-win. I mean, I look at the other part that you, cleaning that land up there and all is gonna be one thing, but the borough acquiring the other property, not to have to rebuild the bridge is probably going to be a savings that's probably going to be greater than the purchase of the land for the access drive.
Yeah, I think Derek would tell you it would be several times what it would cost to purchase this access drive.
Yeah. And Mr. Barge has already begun the process, working with DEP, to have that existing bridge removed. And we all know that that is creating a backwater condition that is flooding this field out and creating problems upstream for Shawnee Run. So this is going to help that as well. And we have at least mentioned the idea to them about doing a stream restoration project along that piece of the corridor down around the back part where it goes by the old cell tower down there, and improving all of that along there. And that would greatly help that stream clean it up a whole lot. So not promising that piece of it, but that has been discussed. We've been talking about this acquisition.
That would probably apply for the greater part of our MS4 mandate
Yep.
25.
Ding, yep. Bingo.
That stream is a runoff from, will be a runoff from where the new Lucas Heights Lutheran Care was such.
Well, it does, it
It comes
actually
all the way
goes
down
up,
through there,
yeah,
I'm saying that's going to take,
that's gonna help
that
that
was
as well.
designed to take that, so. A restoration project would probably to reassure us and shore back up.
And it'll help with what we've started up at, like, no, 13th
Well, 13th and all the way up by-
and Route 30,
Yeah.
where that was a big mess as well, so.
When that project's put in, they're doing some significant stormwater improvements and capturing a lot of off-site water that's coming onto the site. That's gonna help that as well. So there's a whole lot of pieces all to try to get on that one.
Yeah. Yes, Frank?
Did I just hear that we're going to do away with the other access over the stream?
It won't be our property,
It's not our property,
but I believe the owner of the property would like to get rid of that bridge.
yes.
Okay, the other access is up further, and correct me, I've heard that the fire companies went in there, run the fence down, the fence is all flattened. Is that where the access is gonna be?
No, the fence was cut when there was a fire back there months ago.
Yeah.
That section of fence will be restored, and the new gate will be put in, I don't know, Jake, a couple hundred feet to the west of where that fence cut was put in.
And there's no other, did you search any other way, any other accesses to get? There's no other?
We looked at, and I don't think it's on this sheet. Yeah, we own the land that's right behind where that cell tower is. Yeah, down the bottom, the land, though this is the.
At the bottom of
where the
one
bottom-
It'd be the bottom left corner of that.
Yeah, it's almost off that screen there. But there's a triangle of land back there at the end of Blunson Street that we own that could have been used for an access, but the old railroad bridge back there has been taken out or is not usable. So we had to put a whole new bridge to get in that way. The other route that was talked about and was actually on our official map years and years ago was to build a road from Niagara Road across, paralleling to the railroad tracks, and come across there and tie in around Blunson as well. That was never realized, and that's additional land that would have to be acquired to make this access in, and it's significantly more land to come in off of Niagara Road. So this is the most cost-effective and most direct route to access this land.
And that piece has also been deemed to be in floodplain.
Yes.
Right, and to push it out, we would be into the buildable part of the land that's right there along Niagara Road. So we explored multiple ways to get there. This is the most direct, most efficient way to get in.
Okay, and from what I read, the borough will spend up to $50,000 for this access route.
Yes.
So is there other things that we have to do? Is this 50,000 just for for the right of way to this owner?
The 50,000 would be to acquire the land.
Yeah.
We
That's
still
just
have
for
to
the
build-
land?
Right, we still have to build the road.
Okay, is there anything that we have to do for the owner to acquire this land that's extra?
Yeah, we'll have to do the subdivision plan to create this lot, which our borough engineer will do for us. And this plan will then be the one you see on the screen will be turned into the final subdivision plan to create that lot.
Okay.
Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns from the table? See none. I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to authorize staff to enter into an agreement of sale for the purchase of about .31 acres of land to be dedicated to the borough to be used as an access drive for the Ridge Avenue properties. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-24, authorizing staff to represent the borough to purchase land located at a property located at 1100, 1110, and 1120 Ridge Avenue for $1,350,000 plus necessary closing costs.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to adopt Resolution 2023-24, authorizing staff to represent the borough to purchase the land on Ridge Avenue. Questions, comments, concerns? Again, this is the property we've been talking about negotiating with to relocate the public works.
Mark, can you explain, where we're getting the funding to do this project?
Sure. We have a investment account at Wells Fargo that has about $3,200,000 in it currently. Majority of that is our true reserve fund that we have for the borough. That will be used for the initial purchase. As we then sell other assets, that money that was taken out of that investment account will be reimbursed and put back in.
it was the hope that we would have at least the wastewater treatment plant completed before this, but unfortunately, that is just not quite ready.
But that is coming relatively, hopefully by the end of September, that will have been sold. So that money is not just floating out there, it's in the pipeline here relatively
Well,
soon.
and in the pipeline, let me be clear, all the agreements of sale have been fully executed. We're just trying to schedule the closing date, and scheduling dates with attorneys. Hello.
So you're looking at the wastewater treatment plant,
Yeah,
you're looking at the old firehouse,
correct.
and you're looking at Blue Lane.
Correct, and we're looking at, once all those are done, we will then be shifting and restoring the building that's on the site here, Ridge Avenue, moving Public Works there, then we'll be selling that piece of ground as well.
And there's a portion of the Ridge Avenue property that's going to be divided off and sold as well.
And of the 9 acres, we're keeping about 3.5, the remainder of that will be sold, and that revenue will go into this as well as replacing the funds for Wells Fargo.
So the key is, we're gonna be able to replace those funds in the law.
We're going to replace all of it, and with the assets that we are currently selling off, we should be able to both purchase this land, purchase the right-of-way, build the road, and restore the building without dipping into the general fund or taxing anything else out of our capital fund.
So as these sales happen, will we know how much we actually got for each property?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Could you explain what the benefit of doing the deed in lieu of condemnation is for this property? I know why we did it out on McGinnis, but why are we doing it on this one?
It is largely the same. I mean, I will tell you that this was a true negotiation where that was brought up, and the property owner in the borough decided it was best to do this and not spend an additional $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a condemnation that has to go through courts and could take another 6 months. And it also has the benefit of, if you go through that process, there's no transfer tax that is owed to anyone on that.
Okay, so that's the benefit of it being condemned, is there's no transfer tax?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Because I was trying to figure out why it would need to be condemned.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it is.
Yeah, like I said, in this one, I can truly say that there was a point at which I had to say to them, let's get this done, or else I'm coming back to you guys to say, I think we need to, and this is obviously for a public purpose, so it's something that would qualify under the eminent domain law. But that the advantage to doing it in that way is that you avoid transfer tax. Yeah.
I'll just say this is a plan in the long time coming, I'll say. We started talking about this a year ago, July 4th, and exploring whether this was a possibility to take the place of our Blue Lane Public Works facility. And all in all, it does feel like a lot of shuffling around and selling this to buy that. But when we look at all the numbers side by side, we are very well potentially cutting the taxpayer investment down by at least half. Compared to a multi-phase project to build a brand new facility at the Blue Lane property. And on top of that, the thing about this property is it's currently it's undeveloped. I mean, it's in a blighted condition, and we get to turn this back into usable space, potentially get the other section off of this property in a sold and able to be developed for useful purpose and back on the taxpayer rolls. So it just, from so many angles, is a win-win. And I'm not going to say there isn't a road ahead. There's a lot that has to get done and a lot of time that has to go past before Jake can get in a new public works facility. But when it's all said and done and the public works guys can just roll right out of there and tackle the snow on the streets or whatever's going on, it's gonna be well worth it.
I agree. And not only that, I think the one big, huge positive to here versus Blue Lane is the fact that it's already got the public utilities. So we're not going to have the ongoing maintenance to pay for of a well and septic and everything else associated with that.
Yep,
So,
the utilities are there.
Madam President, one more comment, if I may. This site was a Superfund site.
It was an Act 2 site.
Yeah. I think it would be in our best interest, the borough's best interest, to have a conversation with DCD and maybe even the Lancaster County Economic Development Company about us taking this site that was a problem site and putting it to use. Is there any funding available to even go further, Pete, to offset those costs? Because, we're taking a site that basically no one wants, has been shown, has some potential problems. You can't build a house on it.
No.
no, she can't dig.
Yeah, you can't dig, and we're gonna put this to a use. There should be some funding possibly available, especially in the state of monies that they're giving out to do these kind of things nowadays.
And when we were looking into acquiring this land, we contacted DEP and met with them, so we could fully understand the covenants that are on this land and what the restrictions are. So they are fully aware that we are in the process of acquiring this land.
It's one of those things, don't cost anything to try.
Right. Yep.
Any other questions? Yes, Frank?
I understand there was a deal made to the people that bought the sewer place down there, that they get the highway building and everything too, or just the building, the buildings. And I hated to see that happen because everything was there, it was set up. I look at Bridge Avenue, maybe when it's all said and done, my problem with that is somebody's gonna have to open their vaults, because that place, it's gonna take millions to duplicate what you got down in Front Street. It's not gonna be you're just buying the building, and I listened to Peter there, we're in good shape, blah, blah, blah. But hey, you ain't seen nothing yet. You better open your wallets up, because it's gonna cost you. But we had everything all set up down there. I just hated to see you move from down there. Not sure what the deal was for the sewer plant. I hope we got a good price for that. I heard you say, Evans, that the sale would be, I think, the end of September or something. Did you say that?
I would hope that the EDC will close with the end buyer by the end of September, and then they will pay us.
And this is what building?
This is the wastewater plant, actually.
The plant and the highway?
No,
just the waste. We're selling them two separate pieces, Frank, so that I don't want to sell the highway plant until the new location is up and running. And when you say it's going to cost a lot of money, we have an estimate, because the former owner actually had the construction firm come in and give a quote on what it would take to restore the building.
You're talking about Ridge Avenue?
At Ridge Avenue.
Okay.
And what he wanted to do in there as an industrial operation wasn't far off from the type of improvements that we would make out there. So we have a really good ballpark of what those costs would be to restore that building.
You want to share that with us?
Not right now, no, but we'll get to that.
Okay. And
as Peter said, we had looked at $5 or $6 million in putting the property up on Blue Lane, which I think we all realized was an option, but not the best option. This is less than half of that.
so we're selling just the wastewater building, and how much are we getting for that?
$565.
I think around
believe.
565,
Yeah.
565,000.
Yeah. And which is what the appraised value was.
Yeah, we're getting the appraised value for
Yeah.
that site.
Yep.
And they have nothing to do with the highway shed then? These people that's buying that will have no control whatsoever until they buy the until they buy the highway?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, I got that. And the place across the street,
We're keeping.
when will that settle?
We're not. There's no plans to sell that immediately, so we plan to hold on to that.
So we're leasing that?
No, we own it.
Well, somebody's in the building.
Across the street, we are.
No, I'm talking about where the fire company was.
Oh, up the street, I'm
Oh.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, where KT Graham is located in there now,
Yeah.
and the plan is to sell that building as well, to the EDC.
We're
and then-
leasing that to them.
Yeah, sorry, wrong building.
How long is the lease?
It was a 5-year lease when it was signed in 19, I believe. Yeah, so we're 3.5 years into it, I believe. Yeah.
So at the end of that, we can renegotiate.
Yeah, we honestly, Frank, our goal is to sell it before then.
Right.
They were interested in purchasing it, so
I mean, it's already in the works, and
Yes.
just, you know, again,
that's part of that's the next step, is to get that piece sold as well.
Yeah.
And they're ready to
I
buy it.
asked, if we're counting on money coming in to help offset these other expenses. I'm just curious as to when it's going to be.
Right, the agreement to sale between us and the EDC has already been drafted. We're waiting to execute that, and then the EDC will go out and sell this to whoever. KT Graham is probably the most likely buyer.
How long do we anticipate until the Bridge Avenue would be up and running?
2 years-ish to really restore that building?
I think 2 years, year and a half, 2 years.
We are currently looking at a design build firm that's been pre-vetted through the state, through the Keystone Purchasing Network.
Yeah.
So because they've been pre-approved by the state, it would take us out of the process of having to go through all the bidding and do all the bid contracts. We could hire them, and they would do all the design work and then hire the contractors and build it for us. And that tends to be, on a building like this, a cost-effective way to do this. If you're doing a complicated building, I don't know if it'll break even. This is basically a prefab steel structure that just needs to be side taken off, roof taken off, and new stuff put in, and then the interior fixed up, and some of the concrete work fixed. So Derek's looked at it, we've talked to them, we think this is a good way to go forward, but there's nothing on the table with them, we haven't done anything yet, it was just an idea that we have.
Well, so what I'm asking then is the 565 that for the wastewater plant itself, I was under the impression they can't really operate fully without the other land that the highway department sits on. So are they willing to wait 2 years?
No, in their master plan for all the stuff they want to do, they want both parcels. They can utilize the wastewater plant now for
Okay.
part A of their building, business I'll call it. Parts B and C, they need the other building, and they want to move the whole operation down, but just buying that there's a part of their operation that works great down there.
any further questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, have a motion by Councilperson Stahl, second by Councilperson Kaufman to adopt Resolution 2023-24, authorizing staff to represent the borough to purchase land located at 1100, 1110, and 1120 Bridge Avenue for $1,350,000 plus necessary closing costs. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
All right. All right, Jake, are you ready?
He's smiling.
Next, could I have a motion to authorize the bill payments? I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Price, to authorize the bill payments. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? One thing I will note, and I've been noticing this, and it dovetails nice into what Frank was saying earlier, questioning about the the vehicles and leasing them and what Enterprise is doing, I am noticing a considerably reduced number of auto repairs on these. I've been noticing that the last couple of months, so it has definitely been beneficial.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns on the bill payments? All right, I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Price, to authorize the bill pays. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Next, new business. We have resolution 2023-25, authorizing the destruction of public records. This happens periodically, but since it's new business, we can discuss it. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, I believe this said it's all of the boxes from the former borough attorney of the things that we do not need to retain.
Yeah, I talked with Evan about it.
Yeah.
He has no desire for them. I had staff go down there and go through the boxes. Teresa spent hours and hours, and Deb went down a couple times to help sort through them. They were able to sort out stuff that seemed important, unimportant. I finally went down, went through all the boxes they had pulled out, and just double checked the other ones that they had put aside. So we feel confident that there's nothing left in there that's worth keeping. Saying that, going through the boxes, it was interesting. Somehow in all the things, he saved newspapers from news about Columbia back in the day and stuff, and it was fun just pulling out some of that history of things going on. And much to our great joy, one of the documents that we have been looking for since I started here is our Act 537 plan, which is our sewage facility planning document. When everything was sold to LASA, that document became somewhat obsolete, I'll say. But we are still required under DEP to have a 537 plan, even though we're under LASA. And sure enough, digging through the boxes, amongst all the spiders and cobwebs, there was our Act 537 plan sitting in the box. So I pulled it out, Derek's got it, we found it.
Good. Does anyone have any questions on this, or would anyone like to make a motion to adopt this resolution?
I mean, this is standard, I have
Yeah.
no problem making the motion.
And do I have a second? I have a motion by Councilperson Kaufman, second by Councilperson Stahl, to adopt resolution 2023-25, authorizing the destruction of public records. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Todd is not here, that'd be 6-0.
Laurie, that would be 6-0 because he is not, I didn't realize that, sorry. My bad. Next, we would like to consider authorizing staff to enter into a contract with Cidium Solutions for IT network management for both the borough and the police department. This is one of those things we've been talking about for a while. We've been struggling with our previous IT company. So this has kind of been a long time coming.
Where are they located?
Cidium.
Yeah.
They are here in Lancaster County. They're Ephrata, yeah. Which honestly was one of the considerations we had. We had we interviewed 5 firms, I think, about 4. 2 that we really liked that do municipal work including police departments. One of the final factors for us with Cidium is they're located here, and distance was one of the issues we dealt with the current firm.
Right.
To have them right here present is a good thing.
And they're familiar with your software as well as ours?
Yes, we've met with them 2 or 3 times. We've gone down a complete list of all the software. They're familiar with it.
Currently service Manheim Township Police and Municipal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think they have some other municipal clients here that you guys talk to, and
Yep. We got recommendations from them. We talked to them about the level of service, quality of service, etc. Manheim Township actually had both companies that we liked. One serviced the township side, one serviced the PD side. They consolidated down to one, not out of any dislike for either one of the two companies. They just wanted everything under one shop. So, because too many things, everything were getting complicated between the IT companies. And Citium is the one they decided to go with, is to handle both the township and their police side.
And when do our current contract expire?
It would have expired in the end of February of '24. They have agreed without any penalty for us to terminate the contract early. So the contract now ends in the end of October.
How does that compare cost-wise? I didn't see that.
Monthly cost, this one is comparable to the monthly cost that we pay now. The one difference, which will be a savings, is that if we go with the platinum contract, which is what we're proposing, there would be no added on costs. All projects, all service calls, all time here, they will have a person that will come once a week and just troubleshoot things, check little minor issues. So if we have something go wrong and it's not a critical issue, we'll know that so-and-so will be here on Tuesday and they'll be here to look at it for us. So I know Manheim Township said that was invaluable to them, because if somebody's having a minor issue and they can't get something to work, they're like, if you can wait till whatever day they're coming, they'll do that, and they keep a running list. And when he walks in, he goes, all right, almost like, who needs help? And he has a running list of projects to take care of, and it's worked really well for them.
Would they be able to fix our camera situation? I know our live stream situation, I should say. I know part of it is the Wi-Fi, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I can't believe we can't hardwire that.
We have talked about this, and we also have a quote that I'm just doing some background work on right now. To actually improve it, this is not a bad camera. The problem is it's for live streaming only. So we can't use that camera for virtual meetings in this office. And we want to be able to record meetings, live stream meetings if we want to. We want to be able to do virtual meetings if we need to. We want to be able to record trainings or anything else in here. That current system can't do it. So that'll be coming up soon. Wilson and I got a quote from them. We're going to go around and look at some of their installations and talk to them and see how things have gone with them.
The same firm or?
No, that'd be a different firm. They don't do directly IT work. They would sub that out. The Citium doesn't do AV work, I should say. Words clear. But they work with the AV companies.
I'm having trouble understanding them.
The contract print is weird. Yeah.
The quote is, yeah.
I mean, they've added up the two options.
Yeah, it's summed instead of pick one or the other. So let me get to that page. What we are looking at is the platinum contract, 3-year, which the total for that was $5,269.
Which is about $400 savings per year. If you have a 3-year contract.
That's a per year contract?
Yes, per year for 3 years.
Is it, wait, you said is it $5,269 per year?
Per year for 3 years. Yeah, so 15,000 over 3 years, something could take.
Not per month.
Not per month.
Not 5,000 a month, okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
5,000, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. 5,000 a month.
Yeah.
It comes out to 63,000 a year, which is,
$5,000 a month.
we're paying that now.
Yeah, we're paying it more.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that was clear,
Yes.
yeah.
So this is per month.
Per month.
So you
Which
say.
we actually pay a little more than that because we are also billed now for other things. So we're spending around 6,000, almost 7,000 a month right now for everything.
So 3 times 12 is what?
Yeah, there have been ones on the bill payments that has been at $6,700.
Yes.
At $5,200 a month.
Yeah, I mean, you would save about $4,800 a year on the 3-year contract versus if you just did the 1 year.
Understood.
Yeah.
Now I understand that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, over here on the other page, I guess where we have the total sum, the subtotal, they've taken
Yeah.
the 3-year and 1-year options and added them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this is approved, I will go online and complete the system online. Without me going in and selecting the options, this agreement in the PDF form doesn't have all the correct fields in it yet.
So when I go online, should this be approved, then we'll get it all straightened out and get it in line.
Yeah, and we'll make sure it is correct, should you approve it, we'll make sure that it is correct in the contract and we don't have any
Yeah, you
confusion.
have the option to save it as a PDF, and every time I did it, the numbers didn't line up right.
So
It
this
didn't-
is a result of you not being able to print it out correctly?
Right, yeah, that's the easier way to say it.
Good, okay. So I was like, if they can't put a proposal together, how can I trust them with technology, right? Ones and zeros, they can't get these ones and zeros. Right? I get it.
The error might have been on my side.
That also makes sense. I mean, at first I was like, how can they afford to send somebody out once a week on that price? But it makes sense if it's $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
Do we want to motion this tonight, or do we want to think about it?
Mark, when did you say the contract ends with the current firm?
October. We are looking to get them on board. Chief, if you want to jump in here, there's been some ongoing issues with the police department that have gone unresolved for a significant amount of time, and it's directly related to their operations.
Yeah, we have a fleet terminal that we have not been able to access. It's been working intermittently when we first signed on with Executive Image in the beginning, but since then, at least the last year and a half, it has not been working, despite our efforts to try and have it fixed. So we were hoping to get Citium signed on and have them start on that project as soon as possible, so we can be up and running.
I know we've talked to a bunch of folks. I know we've contracted with a bunch of folks. And I trust, I mean, I'm not a technology expert, but I know that these guys are in the trenches dealing with the software and the hardware and doing the day-to-days. I trust that they're bringing a good option forward for council to consider. I'm ready to vote on it.
Just one thing I'd like to add in a public statement. We have been having some difficulty with the current IT company, but they have been nothing but professional in this transition. So they are fully aware that we are looking at a new company, and they're willing to work with this new company to get them up and running and work with them through the transition.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Because I got a little confused.
Sorry.
I thought you said hours ended in 2024 and there was no penalty to end it, but then I thought you said October.
Let me explain that. The current contract, had we gone the full term, would have ended in the end of February of 2024.
Okay.
They agreed to terminate early.
Oh.
So now with the early termination with no penalty fees, terminating early, we're ending in October.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yep, I thought you said February and then October. I thought, well, which is it? Now I understand. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any penalty fees in this agreement should we choose to end?
We're gonna have, Evan's gonna go through
The contract.
all of that and everything.
Well, I mean, I will tell you, you know, in the case of the current IT contract, I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall and realized there were some of these issues that were going unresolved, and it probably wasn't worth a fight over 6 months of a contract or 5 months of a contract. In any contract, there's likely going to be some type of penalty for terminating it early. You know, we can work to minimize that for sure. I think obviously in any contract, one of the most important clauses is the termination clause. So we will make sure that, you know, if there are issues like we're having now, and hopefully there won't be, that we can terminate that agreement.
Okay.
You know, but if you don't have, I'll say if you don't have a penalty clause in some of those cases, you don't really have, if anybody can just terminate it at any time, you don't really have a, you know, and we'll work and see, you know, sometimes you can do, you know, take a review at 2 years or something like that. We'll just have to see what the contract brings, but I'll make sure I look at it.
Understood. I just wanted to make sure that we're having these same issues and
We will make sure that, yeah.
want to or wish we had found another contract that we can do that.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's understand this, because I'm a little confused on this. You got the paperwork from going onto the website. But did you actually talk to somebody there that you know that if we sign an agreement tomorrow, they can come down and fix the police department's issues straight away?
Yes.
Or are we just assuming?
They sent us an electronic contract.
Okay.
And before I filled in all the forms and signed it, there's an option to download it, which is the version you have in front of you. All the options that we wanted to do weren't selected on this contract, which is probably why it didn't print properly. We've had 3 meetings with them in person, several via email to go over all the details. They are ready to start as soon as we need them.
The last meeting was 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we brought up this very issue, that the clean terminal matter is of great importance. They understand that. They want to get in and get it fixed.
Yeah, then I agree with Todd, I'm okay with it.
I mean, this is kind of been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this for
I know we had
6 months.
We had minor issues on this side, but I know that side really struggled.
And you can't have the police department struggling with signing in, logging in, filing reports,
No,
It's all because of that radios.
sharing seats. It's just,
I know, getting radios and then it all goes. All right, so I'm assuming that Todd would like to make a motion that we authorize staff to enter into a contract with Citium Solutions for IT network management for Borough and Police Department. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Councilperson Burgard, second by Councilperson Kaufman, to authorize staff to enter into a contract with Citium Solutions for IT network management. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
All right, let's get her done.
This is how we're going to pay for it the next item.
Next, we are considering approval for the police department to host an auction on Saturday, September 9th, 2023, beginning at 9 a.m. using Sadie Lane, which will be closed during the auction, with the understanding that proceeds from items sold by the police department will benefit the police bike patrol fund, and proceeds from items sold by other departments will benefit those departments.
Can I ask a question? Saturday morning is market day. Do you think it's a good idea to block City Lane and take up even more parking issues that we already have?
We've spoken to the market manager about this topic. He thinks it's a good idea.
How long did that conversation last?
At least an hour. We had learned the history of the bike.
Do you want the timer? Do you want my timer?
No, he's very supportive.
Okay. Oh, well, my other suggestion was the market house. And I don't know what your auctioneer has as far as timelines and stuff, but the auction house would be a nice place to have public auction for that kind of stuff too.
The market house.
Oh, the market house, yeah, excuse me.
Mark House auction house also.
Yeah, well, the open side, and it is not.
So we've discussed that as well. If there's inclement weather, maybe moving it.
Didn't we have inclement weather last year?
We have. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But it has.
I think last year was okay.
Yeah.
It was last year, okay.
Yeah, we've had it in there before, because our numbers gone down.
Right.
And I will say, our very own Wilson made the comment recently, this is probably the best bike inventory that we've had in recent memory.
I'll be shopping.
So,
I'm sorry, I'm shopping, but not.
okay. Right, Wilson?
I have a question on this. Not that I have any problem with the bike auction, not that I have any problem with any of this. But I understand this may seem like a formality, but why was this being advertised all over social media before it even came here for the action?
Yeah, I guess we considered council's action formality. We wanted to get the word out because September 9th is fast approaching.
Yeah.
So, we didn't certainly mean to disrespect council in any way.
It's a matter of optics for the public. It's like, all right, so, in the future, it'd be nice if we can have things discussed at the public meeting before we're advertising everything on social media.
You do this the same time of year, correct?
Around the same time, yes.
Roughly, yeah.
So why don't you just set like the second Saturday of September? Like the car show does, and they're advertising, they buy it once, and they just put yard signs out every year, second Saturday in September. And then time you're gonna put it across there, you can say like auction,
Yeah,
second
Yeah.
Saturday in September.
I'll take it.
See what I'm saying?
And then we have it on the thing so that, you know, in July or June, it comes to council for the official action. I mean, it's not, like I said, I have nothing against it, it's just,
Sounds like a no-go.
I have bought things at the bike auction before. And I even paid my $1 for my little,
Sticker.
my license.
And one thing that may impact it moving forward, Mark and I have had a conversation, there is an organization relocating, or not relocating, right? They have a secondary location there in town that actually fixes up bicycles, teaches the youth.
Common wheel, I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're located currently in Lancaster City, and they wanted to open a second location. I met with them about 2 years ago when they were down there doing their event, and started talking to them, and they realized with the bike trail right here, and with the demographics here in town, they feel like this really fits their mission and goal, is to provide a place where young people can come in, learn the skills of fixing and repairing and maintaining bikes. And if they give so many hours of service to it, then the bike they work on then becomes theirs. So it's a great program. Really, it's working fantastic in the city. And I think it'd be a great benefit and a great addition to the community here. So they're coming here. They've already signed the lease on the land. They are located down on the 100 block of Locust Street.
Former Jay's Lounge.
Yeah.
And they're actually gonna be here this week at Fourth Friday, and they're raffling off several bikes, I believe.
So we will look to partner with them in some way, shape, or form. So it may impact us annually having an event.
All right, approving it tonight, voting tonight. All right, who would like to make a motion to approve the police department to host a bike auction on Saturday, September 9th, beginning at 9 a.m. I have a motion by Councilperson Littner and a second by Councilperson Price. To approve the police department to host a bike auction on Saturday, September 9th, 2023. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? And yes, did you hear I said aye?
I did. I just noted.
I might actually have some things I could donate to the auction. Because I gotta clean out my shed. All right, staff reports, comments, and announcements. Solicitor Gable.
You know, we've talked about a lot of things tonight. I think the last couple of weeks, and certainly the next week, will be focused on making sure we get that closing done for the Ray Avenues property. That will take place prior to August 31st. We're just waiting to hear back from the seller when he's available so we can get that scheduled. It'll likely be sometime next week. There are also a couple of ordinances, a couple that we're hoping to have here tonight to discuss. They weren't quite ready for prime time yet, but we're going to have a sidewalk cafe ordinance. We're going to take a look at the nuisance ordinance and hopefully have some of those things ready for you guys to take a look at here, and the handicap parking ordinance as well. So, you know, those will be coming up, so just wanted to give you a preview there, so.
Will any of those be ready for the September work meeting in 2 weeks?
I would expect the sidewalk cafe one will be. The other two, well, I could have the handicap parking ordinance ready for the September workshop as well. Yeah, those two. The nuisance ordinance is going to take a little bit longer because there's a lot of references in different places in your code to some of those things. So we want to make sure that we do that one correctly, but we are working on that.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and that looks like that's going to be tough.
Yeah, there's going to be some reorganization that has to take place, so.
All right. Secretary Treasurer, Mr. Stivers.
Thank you. On
August 17th, we had a really good meeting with a representative from Senator Altman's office. Representative Miller was here to discuss the civil service process. And this goes all the way back to the initial push that Heather started to get a resolution together to look at amending the state borough code to amend the civil service process. I felt it was a very productive meeting. They are already working on legislation currently to get this moving. We got an explanation of how this legislation is going to work and how it's going to have to be stepped in, because it's not something that just happened overnight. It's going to have to be a phased process, considering there are officers currently working that came in under the civil service, so it's going to have to look at how we move it forward, but it's definitely in process and moving in the right direction. I was very encouraged by the meeting and with our ability to have such a good working relationship with our representatives in Harrisburg. Secondly, if you guys all heard about the horrible explosion that happened out near Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, it became aware that two of the people that were killed, one was the borough manager for Plum Borough, and the other one was their planning director, economic development director. They lost two key staff members in one incident, and any tragedy like that is horrible. But to add to that, the pain that a small borough like that goes through, losing two key people like that. So
We're a big borough.
yeah.
We're like 26,000 people.
Okay. Bigger than us.
Yeah.
But to go through a tragedy like that is just very difficult. So there are several organizations which we are members of that are reaching out to them and trying to help and support the families in the community that have suffered that disaster. So I'll put some more information out to you guys, but just wanted to make you aware of that. The ongoing discussions with the PA 462 bridge is continuing. Have not heard back yet from PennDOT. We were looking for some answers soon, so as soon as I do. I will say though that the media is picking up on this, and you'll see some articles in LNP and other places where the interest and concern of this is becoming, rightfully so, an issue here that people are aware of and concerned of, so we'll keep you guys abreast on that. And finally, just to say, for Jake's sake, right near his home, in front of his house, the milling and cleaning up of 462 is taking place now, and it's going to be good to get all that done as soon as they get finished. What's the current timeline, Jake?
I think if weather holds out this week, by the end of the week, they should be pretty much wrapped up. So. That kind of, this was supposed to start the week of July 10th. So.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's all I have, thank you.
All right, boards, commissions, and committees, upcoming meetings, the zoning hearing board. This month is canceled, there is no action to be taken. River Park Advisory and Revitalization Committee is on the 24th, which is this Thursday. And the Shade Tree Commission is on the 28th. In your packet, you have the approved minutes for the Civil Service Board and also for LASSA. Borough Council comments, we'll start with Councilperson Brevard.
Yeah, two things. Penn State Health hosted me for a 4-hour ride along last Monday. I wanted to publicly say thank you to Adam Martin for making the arrangements, and thank the EMTs and medics for their professionalism and their patience while I annoyed them with many questions. Also, regarding time limits for public comment, I'm going to share a thought with council, perhaps to consider. I think we can all agree it's a little bit inconsistent.
Yes.
And I think some folks in the audience have felt like they've been slighted or they're treated unfair, and I can understand that. I know that we have a timer. I think the timer is a great idea. I was thinking, not a huge change, but setting the 5-minute timer. Obviously, I think the the commenter can see the timer is big enough. At 5 minutes, their comments are done. But I think perhaps at that time, if they're not finished, council president asks any of the council members if they want to hear more. And at that point, if one council member says, yes, I would like to hear more, you have 2 more minutes to finish it up. And after that, then it goes perhaps maybe another 2 minutes if you would like, or it gets tabled to another public comment session. And
I like that.
I think that takes some of the pressure off of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair if somebody has more to say and perhaps somebody wants to hear more.
If I may, that's a good idea. But there's another problem. You give 5 minutes to someone to speak at the beginning of the meeting, or to comment. But then as the meeting goes on, there's constant rhetoric going on throughout the meeting. And it could end up at 10, 15 minutes. Because there's comment on every item that comes up on the agenda. It's almost like, you're gonna talk for 5 minutes, okay, but then I'm gonna talk at every other item on the agenda, the whole way through the meeting.
That's how it's set up though. It's set up with non-agenda comments and then agenda comments.
Yeah, but not on every agenda item.
Agenda item comments can be made during the course of the agenda.
Well, you may have made that change, but that has never been the way organizations operate.
And how would
On the first meeting of the month, where there's a workshop, yes. In the meeting, you comment before and after the meeting.
Yes, I made that change,
But
within the first year, and I did that, Leo, for this reason.
if you're gonna do that, there's no sense in having a 5 minute.
No, the
Rule.
agenda comment is the 3-minute rule then. The reason I did that is the whole point of public comment on agenda items is for the public to be able to comment and make their voice heard before action is taken. So by allowing people to comment during the course of the meeting before action is taken, we are not only fulfilling the spirit, but also the letter, but also the spirit of open meetings. And that was why it was done like that. Because for many years, I sat there and I watched say, you had to comment on the agenda items at the beginning of the meeting, and the agenda wasn't very descriptive, so everyone would come up and they would want to comment, but they couldn't make a valid argument because they didn't know what council was going to be talking about. This way, the people can hear what we're discussing, what we're going to take action on, and make a valid argument one way or another, or give valid input before we take action. That's why I did it that way. And I feel I feel there's value in that.
I tend to disagree. And I want to boost my opinion. There's an agenda, the agenda sets up what is going to be discussed, and that's when you discuss it before. And because what I see happening is people in the public debating you folks as members of council.
Well, they have,
That's not
but they
the way it's set up.
they have the right to ask questions about what we're spending their money on.
That's what the thing said, public comment on agenda items is for. For you to explain to them what that agenda item is about.
But the non-agenda is first, the agenda items are throughout the meeting because topics come up throughout the meeting that we're talking about.
Like I said, do it the way you want to do it, I disagree with it.
Anything else, Councilor Ricard?
Text my God.
Councilperson Fisher?
I'd just like to announce that the Parks and Rec are hosting a movie this Friday. For the notice, it's going to be Friday email. And the edible classroom will be there at 6:30 with bags and buckets.
Or the others.
It doesn't appear to be at a park, although
It's at the lot that we sold.
I don't know, or is it at the church?
No, it's at
Is
the
it
grass
at
lot,
the
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Don Murphy or Simran Purchase, he's allowing the Mackeys at the event.
Okay.
Councilperson Kaufman? We're past the action item, so. I mean, I'd like to finish our council
That's fine.
comments.
Text my go. YouTube is where you're gonna find everything on the council meetings.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I have for right now.
Okay, I heard text my gov twice, and I just have a question about text my gov. Who is in charge of putting stuff on there? Because the police incident with the Market House shooting, I don't think we got text my gov on that until 24 hours after that incident happened. And I'm wondering why we couldn't just even push out a quick thing like avoid the area, the police are investigating shots fired, you know, anything like that to let people know that maybe it's not a good idea to be hanging out there.
That's true.
I didn't like that.
And there's gonna be events where it happened overnight, people can't be notified, whether it's fire, snowstorm.
Well, yeah, but this was in the afternoon on a Saturday. I
But
just
it's Saturday, I'm
wondered
saying-
why it took 24 hours to get a message
But
out.
that's what I'm saying, it's Saturday, it's a weekend, or weeknight, or nighttime, our officers are staffed.
Yeah, but who's here to man that? If it's for emergencies, why are you waiting 24 hours? It's no longer an emergency.
Yeah, the short answer is it was a staffing issue on that Saturday. So the staff that we had in, did not have the ability to post. Now they do have the ability to post on Crime Watch. So they did at some point on Saturday, put out a Crime Watch post notifying the public about the incident.
So the police can post to text my gov, because I didn't know who posted that.
We have added in staff.
However, I mean, but really, had there been communication with the borough manager, he could have pushed that out as well right away, correct? I mean, I thought that was the whole point of the Text My Gov, was to be able to real time avoid the area for an issue and things like that. So I mean, I agree with Sharon.
So I was gonna say, I have the ability 24/7 to push out messages. So if something comes up and it's urgent, and chief wants me to push a message out, I can do that, absolutely. The police side has the ability to do it, we have the ability, we've actually gone through training, so, the admin staff can do that as well.
I would set up some kind of protocol though, because you don't want 2-3 messages, something different going out, take it apart.
Right.
So I mean, if you guys do decide to use Mark as the point of contact or whatever, you know, I would do something, I would have it set up. And I don't know if Mark's at, well, I guess Mark is the answer.
The times that I've done that, chief has sent me a statement and I just copy that statement and put it in and push it out. So I will create a message on the police, for the police side, I'll take whatever the chief sends me and we'll push it out.
Well, what happens when the chief's not on duty?
Whoever the officer in charge would have the ability to contact me and send it to me.
And they would?
They have, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Say
Crime Watch is our primary source of communication. Okay?
Well, no, it's not. We're pushing text.
No. Police wise, it's Crime Watch. Okay? You gotta understand, you're never gonna get ahead of social media. You're never gonna get ahead of the news. They're Johnny on the spot and they're pushing it. When you have officers that are working a scene,
Totally get all that. I totally get it.
okay? They're not gonna stop, oh, I gotta stop, I'm going back to the office, I gotta do a Text My Gov. Oh, we're gonna take care of it, and when that time comes, then that stuff will go out. I don't expect officers, the chief or anybody else, to come back from a scene when things settle down and evidence and discussion is had to what can be released to the public. Because you can't make rash decisions on what are released to the public. When that point reaches it, it'll be sent out. But it's going to be after the media happened.
I totally agree with what everything you're saying about information about the incident. I'm not talking about the information side of it. What I'm talking about is, and your big cities have, not publishers.
Public relations.
Public relations, yeah. They're 24 hours, and as soon as that call comes in and there's a response, whether it's fire, emergency, or medical, or police, they have somebody with staff put that information out there. We don't.
We discussed that.
We don't,
and you chose not to do it.
we don't, no,
No.
Yeah.
no, because,
There's a difference between a public relations and someone sending Mark a text and saying, hey, incident at Third and Cherry, tell people to avoid the area.
Right.
Boom.
so.
That's it.
Who's gonna send Mark then? That's what I'm trying to
Well,
get.
and that's what I'm saying, you know?
If we're not gonna decide to set up some kind of system, protocol wise, then this whole touch my gut thing is a failure, and we might as well get rid of
No, I don't think Text My Gov, the original thing for that was streets blocked or whatever, street maintenance and that kind of stuff. It wasn't meant for, police actions.
it. It's not just police action, it's emergencies, whether it's a fire,
Or
whether
the
it's a-
train broke down.
Yeah, anything.
They're emergencies that basically are not controlled by us out in the field. When you got a police action, you don't have time. You know, who's gonna call this person, whether it be Mark or anybody else? Who's gonna take the time when they're out there working to say, oh, I gotta call Mark? There will be a time, but it's not gonna be in a short span of time. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It sounds to me like there needs to be a discussion among all of us to figure out what the protocol and the
Right.
system is.
Well, I think what you're trying to do is beat social media and you're not gonna do it.
I'm not trying to be.
No, we're not trying to beat social media, we just want,
A timely posting of an incident to help
And I would have to say,
residents navigate.
I would have to say those postings are timely, when time allows. Now, they may not satisfy you, but that's what time allows.
I think having a conversation in the system, setting expectations, like obviously things on weekends and in the middle of the night are not going to go as quickly as perhaps during the day.
Maybe
When there's
not.
staff available to do things. I just think maybe setting some of those expectations
Right.
would have value. So can we have a meeting among the public safety team and whomever?
Yeah.
And staff about how do we set that up?
That's a good idea, but I want you to understand.
I mean, and it's not just police. This hasn't been communicated with fire.
right.
Now, fortunately, we have a lot of people throughout the borough, because it is volunteer, they're involved with the fire, and the police respond to calls as well. But, you know, I'm gonna say Mark, but it could be Jake, it could be anybody who Mark or we appoint as the point person. But whatever system it is, police, fire, and I'm not saying Jack has to contact this person. Maybe this person has access to the radio, or not to the radio, but to dispatch, they can get a call. So he can say, avoid this area. Whether it's a fire, a vehicle accident, a train came up Cherry Street, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
What you're leaning towards is, in my mind, is the system the fire department has, where when they get toned out, I get a text message, which sets it all in motion.
Yes, and
that's what I think you're leaning towards. And there are apps, things out there that can happen to a degree.
But we have to assign somebody that responsibility to put those posts out there.
Well, then, why couldn't the mayor do that? Because if he's,
Whoa.
well, no, but I mean, if he's working with the police department, it would only make sense then that he might have access to do that in a situation like this. Plus, we have the emergency management coordinator, but, I mean, I don't know if he would have access to all that, but,
I'm sure it does, but.
I mean, there's
no,
gotta
but
be
as
someone.
the coordinator, he could be in the position to say, hey, Mark, I need this. Hey, Mark, I need, because that's what he's there to do, is to coordinate on emergency response.
What constitutes an emergency
Well,
for
right.
right? As-
Exactly.
as
I think
an
you need to have-
incident.
You need to have a further discussion than you're having.
Right.
Yeah,
Because this is more complicated.
Yeah.
That's why I think we all need to get together and have
so-
this conversation.
all right.
What's a real emergency?
We'll table this until,
There's a lot of legalities involved in this.
I'll set up a meeting. I'll set up a meeting.
Well, we can't use a scanner, right?
right.
A scanner for the public. Let them know what's going on. That we can't.
No.
Right?
There's no.
They don't exist
All right.
as scanners.
Some police.
Over to you. Anything else?
No.
Councilperson.
this was a lively discussion. I'll say, I'll add my comment, since it's a comment section. When you drive down the street and there's a police activity, fire activity, I just don't go down that street, I avoid the area because extra traffic on that street is not gonna be helpful. And I don't know how much a text is gonna stop or help that, other than it's fun to know. It's fun to know. YouTube, like and subscribe our channel, and we can get our live stream back up and running. Once we reach 1,000. What are we at?
We're at like 100 something.
We crossed over 100, so it's still very, very low.
So we're getting there.
G-Mail, our employees, mandatory to subscribe. What's that do for us?
Maybe 130.
Yeah, maybe like 30.
Can city own, get everything, like, subscribers on there?
Start pushing them out.
Can we, well, I know there's like bots you can hire. Can we just like find a bot?
Contract.
We're gonna ask Citium if they can find us a bot to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I wanted to, tailgate on what Mark said about, I was pretty excited with the conversation last week, the meeting we had with Representative Miller and Representative Allman's office. I was very encouraged about the future of the civil service. Senator Allman is planning to be the one to introduce it into the Senate, and they're working to get some co-sponsors. So that was very encouraging, and they do believe they have a way to get, even if it's just neutral support from the FOP. So I was pretty encouraged by that. And they're also working to find some people to introduce it into the House as well. So it's moving, and I asked if I would be allowed to be there when it was signed and into the law, and they said I could. So since I started this, I want to see it finished. The mayor brought up about the PSAB stuff. I noticed they have a bunch of their fall training schedules posted if anyone's interested. There looks to be some really good stuff. Jake, there's stuff on there about stormwater management. There's like a whole series on that. Signed up for that. And there's also ones on changes to the open records law, and also a refresher on the Ethics Act if anyone's interested. So sign up, lots of good classes. And I believe that is it. Announcement of next meeting at 7 p.m. on September 5th. Council will hold a work session. We will be discussing the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and also a couple of pieces, at least one, if not two pieces of legislation that we need to be working on. Could I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion by Councilperson Price, and I'm assuming a second by Councilperson Kaufman, to adjourn at 8:33 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? We're adjourned. We do have checks to sign.